When people graduate from schools, from universities, different colleges out there, all they need is some kind of hand holding or a direction which tells them that this is the right way to do or this is the right path for you. And it shouldn't be that somebody is telling you that this is the right path. You need to take a decision based on what you think is good for you, based on what you are good at. Project management can be that one of the option. Now there are different roles in your project management. This video is all about what the different project management roles are and what are their responsibilities. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to teach all of these roles and responsibilities, because when you go out and apply for a job, you need to know what type of keywords or the job titles you need to search the job for. So let's go right into it. So in this video, let's quickly go over what we will learn. We'll talk about the project manager and the three different levels of project manager. We'll talk about their roles and responsibilities. We'll talk about project sponsor. What is the role and responsibility of a project sponsor? We'll understand the difference between leadership and management. And finally, we'll end this video with a discussion on emotional intelligence. So let's go over it step by step. So first of all, who is a project manager? Project manager, as the name states, somebody who is managing the project end to end. A middleman, if you ask me, somebody who is connecting the teams, the different teams together so that they can all work together to fulfill the vision, to fulfill the dream, to fulfill, the basic need for that particular project, what is actually needed. The role of project manager is not just about facilitation. It could be wearing multiple hats at the same time. It's a project manager who's also, not just resolving the conflicts. Sometimes the project manager is documenting the requirements along with business analysts. Sometimes the project manager is not just setting up meetings to communicate and stuff. Sometimes, like, I have been in that role when I was not technically savvy and I was managing an IT technical project. So I couldn't actually contribute towards the technical aspect. You know what I did? I went out, I brought a pizza for my entire team for food and lunch, for dinners, because it was basically an deployment which we had to do over the weekend, and we were there in an office for 3 days, and my job just to get them food. I did that. Carry food and water. It's one of the agile value which we will talk about it, but that's what I literally did because I wanted to contribute and be part of this team, right? And always remember, no job or no task is small or big, or it's nothing like that. Okay, so there are three different levels of project manager. At the least level, you have the project expediter, then you have the project coordinator, and finally you have the project manager. Now, project manager in this, between coordinator, expediter, and the project manager itself, project manager has the most power to take decisions or implement. It depends upon what type of organization you are working in, that I understand, but still among these three, project manager will always have the most power. Then below project manager, you have the project coordinator. Now coordinator, let me first explain the difference between coordinator and expediter. Now coordinator has less power as compared to PM, but coordinator can still take some decisions. Coordinator can help you documenting the meeting notes along with the project manager, more like an assistant project manager, you can say, who is managing the complete PMO, project management office. Now the lowest of among three is your expediter. Now expediter has the least power, but in expediter can be somebody who is setting up the meetings for you, or you have your quarterly party and somebody has to order the food. So it could be your expediter who is doing it. Typically organizations don't have all these three different level of roles. I have hardly seen Expediter, to be honest, but I have seen coordinator and project manager. Coordinator will be somebody more like an assistant, a junior project manager, and project manager is someone who is actually managing a complete end-to-end project. But sometimes there is just one person, one title, which is project manager, and he and she is doing all the aspects, setting up the meetings, to writing the meeting notes, to understand the communication, to manage those multi-million dollar projects, and if needed, carry that food and water also, order the food also for the team. So project manager may do all these three different types of roles as well. So let's understand the different responsibilities. First of all, who is a project manager? Somebody who is leading from front, person who is assigned to lead a particular project and team. A facilitator among the project team who is working with them, motivating with them to achieve the project outcomes. Somebody who is expected to deliver value to the organization, to value to the people who will be using that project. That's what a project manager is. Somebody who is working to balance the competing constraints. Yes, there are sometimes there could be competing constraints. Let's say you are advocating for a change, but people in the organization don't want to embrace that change. They don't want to change. They're happy with what it's going on. There is a competing constraint, right? Sometimes you're dealing with a time constraint, but at the same time, you're dealing with the quality aspect as well. These are competing constraints. It's the project manager who will deal with this. A middleman, a person who is a biggest communicator. In fact, it's actually the project managers. 90% of the role or a job is spent on communication. A communicator between your team, your sponsor, your different types of stakeholders. That is one of the major roles of a project manager. Now, since we are talking about a sponsor, we know who that sponsor is. Somebody who is signing off on your project, somebody who's giving you the money is your project sponsor. If you remember my pizza project, which we were talking about, who is the one who is giving me the money? That's my wifey who is doing that money, because she is the sponsor. Because she told me, she gave me a constraint that Varun, you need to make sure that you are not spending more than $20 to cook this pizza at home. So in short, a sponsor is the signing authority who signs your project charter, who assigns the project manager on the project, is your sponsor. Let's talk about the roles and responsibility of the sponsor. Sponsor is someone who is communicating the vision of the project, the expectation, the goals for the project at a very high level. Of course, it's the project manager who will lead the effort to fulfill that vision, but it's the sponsors whose job is to communicate that vision to the team. Somebody who is advocating, who is fighting for them, who is removing all the obstacles for the team is your project sponsor. And mostly sponsor is more of a senior leadership, so they are the one who will take that executive level decisions. They will help you with some resource requirements. If you need to get some resource from other departments, sponsor will be the one who will be helping you out. And most importantly, they always focus to make sure that the project is meeting the company's objective, the strategic objectives. So that is what the sponsor does as well. What is the project team? Project team are the soldiers. Project team are the fighters. Like for example, when I'm making that pizza, my son is a project team member. How? Because he's grating the cheese on the pizza. So he's helping me out, right? Ultimately, I am the project manager. My wife is the sponsor and my son is the team member who's helping me to grate that cheese on the pizza. But basically, in short, your project team is the people who are doing the work. The project manager will make sure all the team members are working together to fulfill the vision of the project. Let's talk about the roles and responsibilities of the project team. First, projects are actually delivered by the teams. Of course, the project manager and the team. There are teaming agreements. What are the do's and don'ts of the team? That is also being established by the project team members. The team members work within a certain set of ethical, organizational culture, beliefs. They imbibe it, they follow it end to end. And of course, project team members should be you should embrace change. They should tailor their own style of working to meet the project objectives, whatever is, a win-win for the entire project itself. Okay, now let's talk about the leadership and management. Now, what is a management? We all know that management, senior level people who are part of the organization, whose main job is to make sure that your project delivers or your project fulfills the organization's strategic objectives, right? That's what the management is. They need to make sure that you have an effective process in place, the coordination is done perfect, but at a very high level is your management. Ultimately, it's actually the project manager who's doing the job, but the direction is coming from the management. Now, there is also a concept of leadership, and a lot of times I have seen that people say that you should be a leader and not a manager. Now, what is a leader? A leader is more about people, a servant leadership, a concept of servant leadership which puts people first, not just about processes. Of course, it's about processes. You need to follow up, but it's not just about processes. It's giving importance to more to individuals and interaction as compared to process and tools. Remember that agile core value we did, individuals and interactions over the processes and tool. That's what leader is all about. Leader is all about people. So let's just quickly see the difference between management and leadership. Management is more about the positional power, like, hey, I am the VP of the company, I'm your boss. Leadership is all about guiding you, influencing you, more with relational power, like building relations with the team and then guiding you what to do. Management is all about maintaining, is like we need to maintain this in a particular way, but leadership is all about developing, which means that, hey, you want somebody comes to you and say that, hey, I want to learn this. Okay, develop them, teach them. That's more about developing. Management is all about administrating, same thing like maintaining, that they are more like administrators, and leadership will focus you more towards the innovation. That's what leadership is about. Management will talk about systems and structure in place. Leader will be all about people, putting people first, focus on people. Management relies on control, but leadership relies on trust. The relationship they have with people. Management is more about the short-term goals, that this project should be done successfully. Leadership is all about the long-term goals, the overall development of the people. Management will ask you these questions like how and when, which means how will you do this project and when you will do this project. But leader will not ask you these type of questions. Leader will ask you what and why. What are you doing and why you are doing. That's what leader is all about. Management is all about the bottom line numbers. Are you meeting those bottom line numbers or not? And leadership is all about horizon, the end goal, that this is where we want to achieve and this is where we want to reach there. Management will accept the status quo, and leadership will actually challenge the status quo by asking you this question: why are you doing this? Think about it and then do. Management will say, hey, do these things in a right way, and leadership will say, do the right things. And it's not just about, and again, I'm not saying one is better than other. Sometimes you need to play that role where you ask the team that, hey, do this. But sometimes you need to be little more receptive and think on a different level also. And finally, management will focus on the operational things, the problem solving, the issues which we are relying on. Leadership will be all about, the vision, the alignment, the motivation, the inspiration. Last topic we have is emotional intelligence, which is the emotionally intelligence. Now, what does emotional intelligence means? It's the ability to identify, assess, and manage the personal emotions of oneself and other people. What is emotional intelligence? It is actually an ability to identify what other peoples are going through. It is about your own self to see what you are going through. Come up with a mixture, come up with the collaborative approach so that you're not just helping your team to grow, to inspire, to motivate, you're actually helping yourself as well. Understand what the team is going through. Put yourself in their shoes. That's what emotional intelligence is all about. Emotional intelligence, they have divided into 4 different quadrants. First quadrant is about self-awareness. Now, what is this self-awareness? Self-awareness is all about how do you affect the team, like you as a person, how you are impacting and motivating the team. Similarly, how does the steps and things which are done by the team impacts you? It's all about self-awareness. You should be well aware about what your team is doing, how they are doing, what your actions are motivating your team to do things in a better way. Then you have self-management, which is think before you act and build that trust. Now, what do I mean by that? Like sometimes, as a leader myself, I tell people that, hey, I'm doing these things or I want you to follow these things because of some XYZ reason. But I need to be very careful in what I'm communicating to the team. I don't want people to be demotivated or they feel like that I'm micromanaging it, because I don't want to be a micromanager. Instead, I want to be someone who is building the trust to make sure they are moving towards the right line, right goal, achieve this organization's strategic objective of world dominance. Then it's not just about your inner self-awareness, it's also about the social awareness. Now, what is social awareness? Social awareness is about others. Like, be empathetic. If you see that people are not doing the right things or they are going some personal problem, be empathetic towards it. Sit with them, talk to them, understand. Employ active listening with them. What is active listening? And I'm going to talk about active listening in communication in detail. But rephrase what they are saying. Understand their problem, not just for the heck of understanding, but literally take efforts to understand it. And finally, we have the social skill. Social skill is about establish a rapport with your team. People should trust you. Your team members should trust you, right? Build that effective relationship with the team, because if your team is working based on a relationship of trust, then trust me, they will give everything into it. They will give more than their 100% into it. And most importantly, manage different attitude, manage your own attitude towards the team, and similarly manage their attitude as well. Every person is different. You need to understand by putting yourself in their shoes. So this marks the completion of the different roles and responsibilities we have on the project. And let's do some quick questions on this. Who is the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the project team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives? It's basically I would say the minister. It's basically your project manager, if you ask me. The correct option should be project manager, who is working with the team to achieve the project objectives. So it should be option D. Which of the following is not part of the role and responsibilities of the project sponsor? Okay. Balancing the competing constraints, I think that's more of a project manager, not of a sponsor, but I'll keep it. Okay. Keeping project aligned with the business objectives, yes, of course, absolutely. Sponsor is all about business strategy, so that is definitely one of the roles and responsibility of sponsor. See, removing obstacles, yes, it's actually the sponsor who removes the obstacles all the time. And finally, helping secure resources. Yes, if you want to secure resources from different departments, sponsor is the one who will help you out. So I think the correct answer is balancing the competing constraints, because this is something which is a PM's role and not a sponsor role. So the correct answer should be A. Okay, let's do the last question. There are differences between management and leadership in the context of project management. Which one is a management characteristic? A, innovate. Innovate is more of, I think, a leadership. Yes, it's a leadership characteristic. B, do the right things. Do the right things is do the right things. It's actually also a leadership, that we need to make sure that the team is doing the right things. That's a leadership. Do things right. Okay, do things right. It's actually a management characteristic, because management is more focused on doing things in a right way in a particular process, whereas the leadership is all about that you are doing the right things and not just how you are doing it. It's all about doing the right thing. That's your leadership. But this question is about management characteristic, which is option C, which is do the things right. And inspire trust, that's also a leadership. So the correct answer should be C. Okay, so this marks the completion of the roles and responsibilities. So what all we discussed, we talked about project manager, its roles, the different types of roles in project manager, Then we talked about the sponsor and roles and responsibilities. We also talked about the project team roles and responsibilities. We discussed the difference between the management and leadership. And finally, we ended this video with the concept of emotional intelligence. So this marks the completion. Make sure you go over some of the important topics from the revision standpoint, and then I will see you in the next video, which is about the PMI Code of Ethics. So I'll see you there. Thank you.